The investment banking trap. Does hard work really pay off? If you land the wrong role at an investment bank, you'll end up working more hours and earning less money compared to others. I understand that if you're at the start of your career, sometimes it might be necessary to work hard or work longer hours for a relatively lower salary. And this could help you climb the corporate ladder in the short term, but you don't want to be exploited by the company. That's why it's very important to understand the investment banking trap, which I'll explain in this video, and understand it's a trap that you can escape if you manage it correctly. And I'm going to explain it to you within this video. So my name's Ethan. I've worked in investment banking for over 10 years at top investment banks such as Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and HSBC. And I learned these lessons the hard way, and I'll be able to explain it to you in this video. So some of the struggles that I went through at various investment banking positions that I've worked at, for example, there could be sometimes a lack of freedom when it comes to your time and time flexibility. An example of this would be working at Goldman Sachs. At Goldman Sachs, they try to, in the nicest way possible, be more accommodating to employees and offering their employees a lot of facilities at their office. Typically, you would have a work gym, you have your work canteen, of course. They'd even have prayer rooms, and sometimes I think there's restrooms typically where people can take a break from the work environment. There's little ping pong tables and things like that. Now, I always questioned why in certain corporate environments are they so focused on having all these facilities? And partly you might think, oh, it's to encourage employees to socialize at work and treat work as a kind of work play environment, which is a nice way of looking at it. But another way of looking at it is that they kind of want you to dedicate as much of your life and your personal life and your social life to the work environment. For example, many people would go to the gym for networking purposes, the work gym, right? You typically go to the gym anywhere, in any gym you use to do a workout, but what would effectively happen at Goldman Sachs and other top investment banks, people would go to the gym just to network. They'd go to a Pilates or yoga session, even if they're not interested in that. Or they go to lift weights with the manager to network and, spot the manager when they're lifting weights. In kind of a contrived way sometimes to kind of help their career, which is a bit cringe, to put it nicely. But, you want to be careful about maintaining some healthy balance when it comes to your work-life environment. And you want to ensure you have a break from the office environments. You have time in the evenings, you have more work-life balance rather than just thinking, oh, you'll go to work and then got to also spend your evening socializing or going to the work gym, things like that. So it's good to kind of maintain that healthy balance between the two, between the work environment and having your own personal time. And then also another thing to think about is, when it comes to whether hard work does pay off, is when you're dealing with managers. So sometimes you might be dealing with managers and they can be quite toxic. Without naming specific banks I've worked at, giving specific examples, but just overall I've dealt with, and I don't like to play the kind of left-wing race card, gender card, things like that, but I have dealt with racist comments in the workplace environment that were overlooked by management without naming the company. I have dealt with gender discrimination, even as a man, because there's quite a lot of targets set in place for women to be hired, be promoted, and treated favorably by management because there are certain targets to promote and hire women. So that kind of thing did impact me, and you need to think about, if you're working hard in an environment that is demanding more of you while in a sense disrespecting you and treating you kind of in a demeaning way and overlooking things you might escalate about negative managers and employees, you should think about to what extent you want to dedicate hard work to that. Because there's a frequent phrase you'd hear in any corporate environment is that, does hard work really pay off, or is the reward for hard work more hard work, right? And this is something you should really consider carefully. You want to work hard to achieve your goals, whatever your goals are, whatever your life goals are. You don't want to be in a position where you're working hard and you're building a big investment bank, a big billion-dollar company. You're getting paid crumbs. You're getting paid for, six figures, things like that, and not a very high six figures, for example, but you're dedicating all your time and energy into building at that company. Now, Something I'd want you to consider is, in terms of whether hard work pays off, is make sure that hard work is building your goals. So you're working, you're making money, you're saving money, maybe you're investing in various investments, you're building your own business on the side, or maybe you're spending time with your family and friends in the evenings. So that hard work is paying off for you, not for the company you're working for, not for whatever team target they have, but what you're looking for in your life. Because at the end of the day, only you are looking out for your benefit, right? Only you are looking out for your best interest. No one else really is. So just bear that in mind. And then also you've got to think about, in terms of work-life balance, is what can give you the most freedom for the most money, which is always a bit of a balance. It's not always that, like I say, the harder you work, the more you get paid. That's not necessarily the case. Also, jobs that require lots of hours and quite demanding in terms of hours, they may effectively pay you less when you work out how much you're getting paid per hour. And they also might pay you less in terms of what you're getting long term. So I would give you an example of a case where I got the most freedom for the most money. And ironically, it'd be the lockdowns of 2020, without getting into the political side of what that was and freedom and things like that. During the lockdowns, I was working at a major American investment bank, and I had the opportunity to work from home, which gave a lot of flexibility, whether it's playing music in the background or listening to a podcast in the background while working, doing chores around the house during the day when I have mini breaks, listening to music I like, and having a bit more of a free mind. If you're working in a corporate environment, you're not working from home, you're not given that level of flexibility to work from home, you should also ask yourself that question: is the hard work really paying off? Do you have to be extremely constrained in an office environment that nowadays is very political, is very based around left-wing, woke politics, however you want to describe it? So it's also important in terms of thinking, okay, are you getting the freedom you want out of your life, or you kind of not, right? You also want to consider, in terms of managing the workload, managing managers' expectations. Now, when you're working in the finance industry or any other top corporate kind of job, you always get this phrase given to you: oh, you got to manage other people's expectations, manage your expectations, manage your manager's expectations. And what that effectively means is managing workload. You need to give yourself extra time to do a bit more, to do the work, so you give them flexibility. And what I mean by that is, if your manager asks you to complete a task, what you should be doing is giving yourself a bit of extra time. If they say, oh, how long will this take? Give yourself an extra 2 or 3 days so you can do the work at your pace in a manageable way, rather than rushing to get work done and maybe not doing it to the standard you want to do it to, or that the manager would expect, or burning yourself out. Because like I say, only you are looking out for your health. Only you are looking out for your own time, your own interests. No one else is. As much as the company might say they are, or your manager or your team, it's only you. So just bear in mind what is in your best interest. In terms of the second point I wanted to mention here, is what path I took to progress throughout my career over 10 years in investment banking. One thing I did was to focus on work tasks that the manager cares about the most. For example, it's easy to think about, what is, for example, in my best interest in terms of what's the easiest work to do, what's the most enjoyable task to do. But what you really need to think about is, okay, what's going to yield the most income for you? What's going to impress the manager the most? So when you're doing work, focus on the most time sensitive work, highest priority for your manager, and do work that increases your visibility. You don't want to do a lot of work that is just in the background, no one notices it, you don't get any credit for it. Always focus on any work that increases your visibility, that puts you in front of senior management, that may not put you personally in a meeting in front of senior management, but put your work there. So that's always something you need to be doing, increasing your visibility. You need to do your best to be friendly with others, to be helpful to others, and you need to be seen. One key difference between being in a university environment where you can hide away in a library or in your dorm room and be studying and work hard and then prove yourself by getting good grades at the end of the year, being hardworking and analytical, that's not always what pays off in the corporate environment, or often it doesn't pay off at all, right? So what you need to do is focus on increasing your visibility. Even if you're doing some work that's kind of boring, it's easy, doesn't seem to add value, but it's going to increase your visibility in the corporate environment, that typically pays off, even as that might seem quite counterintuitive, but that's how it works. Now, in terms of common mistakes that I see people making when they move into a higher paying position, I would say if you're moving into a higher paying position, when hard work is paying off, you're getting paid more to perhaps do more management, you're doing less technical work day to day, but you're managing other people. I would say it's important to keep your dignity. Don't think you need to all of a sudden start pandering, as I say, to like left-wing politics, liberalism, feminism, things like that, if that's not what you believe. Keep your soul or keep your dignity in that sense. One thing I noticed is sometimes people get promoted, then all of a sudden they start fake laughing at their manager's jokes. They start playing this kind of almost cringe character. And I would say over the longer term, you need to think about, what compromises are you willing to make about yourself when you're climbing the corporate ladder? I think you can maintain your dignity, do a good job to a certain extent without pandering in quite a cringe way to other people or other political ideas. And also be able to delegate. So if you are moving to a management position, the hard work is paying off. Be ready to delegate those tasks to other people, give them a chance to do that work, give other people visibility, give a good bit of teamwork for other people. And those are important things to kind of bear in mind. So make sure you can delegate to others and don't get too complacent. If you are climbing the corporate ladder, it's easy to focus on, being in important meetings, being seen by important people, but maybe not doing the work or not understanding some of the more technical elements. So try and get the balance right as you do climb up the corporate ladder. So to summarize, what you've learned in this video is that hard work does pay off to a limited extent. You need to focus on the most important tasks to impress your manager and to increase your visibility with co-workers. What you need to do is get involved in team projects, work smart, but not necessarily always work hard. So be strategic. What work you're getting involved in, what tasks are you getting involved in? Are they going to result in impressing your manager, increasing your income? Focus on that. Don't necessarily focus on, like I say, all the work social events. You can get involved in a bit of that, but always maintain your dignity, maintain a healthy gap between the work and the life that you want to enjoy. So those are a few general tips there. If you found this video helpful, feel free to check out my free ebook in the description of this video. It's called 10 Free Career Lessons After 10 Years in Investment Banking. And if you're interested in learning more, you can check out the videos on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.